Hello everyone and welcome back to Complicated Relationships Reddit Stories. Hope you guys are safe and healthy. Now let's see what the story is about today. Today's story is titled, I had a relationship of my own after I caught my wife having a second man. People expect me to feel remorse, but I really don't. I met my then future wife 10 years ago and we started dating shortly after. We were both very young at the time. Our relationship was always great. We only had minor fights and conflicts, nothing too serious. Looking back, I now realize that it was always me putting most of the efforts and initiating most things, from communication, planning dates, to intimacy and more. I'd be the one to bring up dates and plan them, to send her messages first, to reach out and start conversations. We had great intimacy, ranging from several times a week to several times a day. I'm the one who always wanted to try new things. She was more reserved and felt some things that I liked to do was dirty and disgusting. I have been the one who always made more money and was financially more successful. She always preferred to pursue her hobbies and quickly fell into a housewife routine out of her own, to the point where eventually she would only work part-time. I wouldn't say she was a gold digger. I guess she always thought that she had settled. I used to have fairly bad acne in the past, got my dental done late, and wasn't quite as good in shape as I should have been. She never showed any signs of this, so I really had no clue. About 5 years into our relationship and 1 year into our marriage, she met a guy at the gym. She claims they were initially just friends, would work out together and liked talking to one another, would chat online and even went out to get dinner and such. I was kept completely in the dark about this new friend and never suspected a thing. A few weeks into this, she went on a weekend trip with friends, a trip that I had to pay her share for. Leaving on a Friday, and she was back at home on Saturday already, telling me that she had a fallout with a friend that went with her. She was depressed the entire day, withdrawn into herself, and started to cry several times. At this point, I was mostly worried about her and didn't suspect a thing. She eventually broke down crying for good and she confessed that she cheated on me. It took me quite some time to register what she had told me, what she had done, and I was numb for the first few minutes. By the time I came out of my stupor, I felt like someone has hit me with a sledgehammer to the heart. I went out of the room and threw up several times before breaking down and crying like a baby myself. She told me that she did not mean for it to happen and that it was a mistake. She felt strong attraction and such a deep connection that she couldn't help herself. However, they spent the first night together, and when she woke up in the morning, she realized what she had done. He did not care about her or love her and was only using her. And she did not love him or care about him either. It has just been a short-lived crush. To make the betrayal worse, she admitted that she has done things with him that she had always refused to do with me, because emasculating me by having a relationship apparently hadn't been enough. Since the day I met her, I had loved her. I had always been very proud of our relationship, had weathered storms where others had run aground. My family loved her and my friends liked her. I always thought that I was lucky and had bragged that I had a wonderful girlfriend and later wife. I did my best to shower her my love and affection all this time, to surprise her with things and let her know how much she meant to me. What quickly followed was anger and despair. I would yell at her while tears were streaming down my face, asking why she did it, how she could do this to me, and if she didn't love me anymore. Her answer was she did not know why, that she had been weak and caught up in the moment. She begged for forgiveness and for me to give her another chance. She gave me complete transparency, immediately quit the gym, which turned out to be unnecessary, as when I tried to confront him, I came to know that he had bailed as well. She came clean to both my parents and her mother. Her father has died some time ago, and I did the best I could to move on. We booked marriage counseling shortly afterwards and entered individual therapy. I would occasionally lash out in fits of anger, never physical but verbally, calling her names and worse. For the most part, she took this willingly. Only few times she responded in kind, telling me she would take me for all I was worth and no other woman would ever love me. Both my and her parents tried to keep me in the relationship. Back then, I foolishly thought that at least my parents would have my best interest at heart. They told me that mistakes happen, that we would overcome this and grow as a couple and people, that she loved me despite everything. It took me months to get beyond this for the anger and revulsion to subside. I never loved her the same as I did before, but I came to love this new her, or at least I thought I did. She was willing to do everything she could to help us heal and make it work. She initiated a lot more, and our intimacy actually improved. We have been each other's first in pretty much everything. Then she went and had unprotected relations with someone else. She never complained despite how much she loved this prior. She was also willing to do a lot more things with me right now. She later said that she was willing to do things with him that she wasn't doing with me, deeply hurt her, and she wanted to make up for it. For a few years, we were genuinely happy. I started going to the gym myself on the regular, and other problems I used to have cleared up by themselves. As time went on, I stopped checking up on her and suspecting her. She doesn't go out much on her own anymore, and if she does, it's usually with mutual friends. Everything was great, or so I thought, till about half a year ago. After restructuring at work, I met a female co-worker. We instantly hit it off, had mutual interests and got along great. We would exchange messages, stay late at work so we could chat and more. At this moment, I had no actual intentions of taking this anywhere improper. I don't know why, but the relationship I was sharing with this co-worker brought a lot of old resentment, distrust and anger back to the surface. I tried too hard to forgive and forget, but deep down I never got over it. If I could rein myself in, if I could stop this from escalating, why couldn't she? She seemingly never suffered any consequences for her behavior that everyone who knew had easily forgiven her and helped fuel my resentment. I started checking on her again. I looked at her call logs and messages, and lo and behold, I found exactly what at this point I thought I would. A slew of calls with a guy I considered a close friend of mine up until this point in the last week while I was at work. At first, I was completely livid and half a mind to put her out of the house immediately. And then, I simply went cold. I found I didn't care anymore. Finding this in one fell swoop stopped any love or lingering attachment I still had for her. The next day, I met up with the co-worker and embarked on my own affair. It was cathartic. It helped me shed a weight on my mind and emotional health I never knew I had. I felt better and freer than I had in years. I also, shortly after, got in touch with a divorce lawyer. I simply wanted out at this point. I increasingly stayed out and didn't bother to make any excuses. I avoided my wife as much as I could. There is no way she could pick up on that, and I can genuinely say that I did not care. It took her an entire week to work up the courage to finally approach me and ask me what was going on. I came clean at that point. I told her I knew about the calls. I told her I knew that she hadn't told me about being in contact with him behind my back. I told her I knew that she's having a relationship again or working herself up to one. Then I told her about my own affair and all the vivid details. As horrible as it sounds, seeing the same hurt and crushing her in the same way she had once crushed me felt liberating. She began to wail and cry. She threw up in the living room. First she screamed, then she apologized. She claimed it wasn't like that and she didn't have a relationship with him. They were planning a surprise party for me for my upcoming birthday. Then she did something that I didn't expect, especially after I told her that I wanted a divorce and had an affair on my own. She pleaded for me to stay with her, try and make this work. She told me that she loved me more than anyone. I simply left at that point and went to a motel. I have completely cut off all contacts with her and refused to even acknowledge her existence. That was 2 weeks ago. Since her mother is living almost 500 miles away, she is now of all people staying with my parents. Other people, mutual friends and family, even my parents have been bombarding me with messages, from pleading me to contact her all the way to blaming and insulting me, telling me that she's in a bad state and barely eats and wants to make this work no matter what, to telling me to beg her for her forgiveness for my behavior. The only people I have talked to were my parents, whom I have since lost any and all respect to. I found out that my own mother had at least had 3 affairs, all of whom my father has forgiven. This might have been one of the reasons, especially my mother, sided with her all that time ago. Yet they are angry at me for doing this to her, for not acting as a man is supposed to act, for running away from my responsibilities and hurting my wife in this way. My mother told me that she is going to take care of her until I come to my senses, as if me wanting her back is somehow a given, and that she is a small furry animal that others have to look after. On the positive side, I found out that she was wrong about that nobody else would want me. I have since seen the other girl several times and had 2 casual meetups. Apparently, I'm not unattractive after all. That's all OP has to say at this time. Let's hope that there's going to be an update soon. I would say 2 wrongs certainly don't make a right. If I've been in OP's situation, I would do the exact same thing. It's not the right thing to do, but what do feelings care about when you're being wronged? Hope you both find what you're looking for. End of the story. Please like, comment and share the video if you enjoyed it. Also, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon and join us officially so you will be notified when we upload the next video. Your support is the key in growing this channel. We will see you again tomorrow with another out of this world story. Until then, be good and stay safe.